The Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri, just a few steps away from where we are at here at Gateway Motor Speedway. My name is Sean Griffith. I am here with Brandon Domain. It is the Last Chance 110 tonight, Brandon.
It absolutely is, and it is named aptly that because for 10 drivers, they've got one last chance to find their way into Las Vegas to sit at that table for the Championship 5, maybe even more than that. Who knows how close this points race has been, but this is a very difficult racetrack to finally find your way into that Championship 5. And
how fitting is it that the Gateway Arch holds the gateway to Las Vegas? So how do you like that for a segue? All right. So let's get into the championship here. We've got 11 drivers out there because we did have a tie on the cut line coming into this round, but things have kind of cleared up a little bit, especially at the top of the list. You got 3 drivers there that I don't think are in any danger at all.
No, a little bit of a smaller field tonight. It looks like we got about 31 entries out there, so that's going to aid Lane Doyle, Trevor Williams, and Michael Madden, who have a pretty good cushion. Still some work to be done there, though. None of them clinch automatically by starting this race. Blair Holloman, Ben Park, they're good at 11 and 8 points respectively, but not far off there. I keep my eye on Brad Herman, Austin Purnell, Matthew Greathouse, and Michael Large. They're within 15 points. That is doable. Sean Jensick, mathematically eligible. Man, is he going to need everything to fall his way tonight.
I actually did some math on it a little bit earlier. He, if with only 31 drivers out there, he is actually not mathematically eligible because he would have to win first place and all of these other guys get 0 points. It's not going to happen here tonight. So, unfortunately, Sean Jensick, his playoffs will come to an end here tonight, as well as Kyle Spees, who missed last race for not really sure what reason, but was not able to make it there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him. Really good season. You see those 3 win stickers. All of them at the super speedway races this season, but he's always been a threat at other tracks. And next season, expect to see Kyle be battling for one of those titles as well.
Oh, definitely. And we've got other stuff going on as well as the individual championship. We've got the team championship already heating up. Take a look at this matchup. JW Racing versus PVR last week. JW Racing winning by 2 points. It is a close match as it has been all season long, but if JW Racing can pull it out tonight, they will win the team championship.
Yeah, I know on the Cup side, it's 1-1 between these two teams here, and tonight it's 1-0 for JW. PVR trying to make it 1-1 tonight on that end. And last week, it came down to that final restart. We saw an incident, took Jose Castellanos back through the field a little bit. That really shook it up. This whole thing has been just neck and neck the entire season. It's continuing to play out here in this championship series between these two teams that are very equally matched.
And one person that was missing last week was Andrew Harris, and he might have been that linchpin there had he been here last week, but was not able to make it, and so that loss goes down on PVR, but they still got to have a chance. They have to win the next 2 races against JW Racing in order for that to all work out. But that could happen. But on the other side of it, the 3rd, 4th place matchup, you got Zuyos Racing absolutely dominating Threat Level Midnight. Threat Level Midnight was missing Kyle Spees and Corey Stahl last week, but both of them are here tonight, so it could be a battle.
Yeah, it's a full roster battle now between these two teams. So there are 9 drivers combined. Zuyos with that big win. Kyle Spees coming back, without question, the top driver this season for Threat Level Midnight. I think that's going to be a huge hand in trying to kind of pull this series back to 1-1 tonight. If not, Zuyos will take home that cash for 3rd.
Well, no time for anything else. Let's jump out there to the track because we've got the standings for the qualifying. Michael Madden on the pole. Brad Herman doing exactly what he needs to do to get back in this playoff hunt.
He absolutely does, and that coming up 22,000 short. That's going to help out, though, because a couple extra bonus points now off the table there. But in row number 2, Landon Cardulo in the 13 for Jonathan Byer Racing. Trevor Williams, he's above that cut line in the 46 for JW. In row number 3, it'll be Lane Doyle, the points leader, coming into tonight. And Kevin Asanio, who had a great run for his best finish of the season a week ago.
Yeah, Michael Larch definitely needs some help here tonight to get back into that playoff hunt. So he's up in 7th. Austin Purnell also needing a big race here tonight. Jose Jose Castellanos. Unfortunately, his playoffs is over, but again, that team championship still on the line, so he's got something to race for. Matthew Greathouse, his teammate, not only has the team championship to race for, but he needs a big race tonight too.
Absolutely. And in row number 6, it'll be Lucas Lyons, who's one of the few independent drivers out there right now. He'll be starting in 11th. Nathan Nixon out of Rat Pack Racing will be on the outside to round out the top 12.
All right, getting out there on the track. And, man, this is one of those tracks that we had some trouble with in the Xfinity Series really early this season, and everybody was put on notice very early in the Truck Series that you had better practice this racetrack because it is very, very narrow, very, very short, very, very small. Not a lot of room to play.
No, and it's pretty single groove. Now, the trucks, that is going to open up a little bit more because they have a little extra downforce compared to those Xfinity cars that we saw earlier this season. But you look at a close comparison here. You got Motegi and you've got New Hampshire. Motegi was clean. That was a great race. New Hampshire, not so much. We saw a lot of incident count trouble. 8 drivers actually kicked out of that race for crossing that incident count limit. Hopefully they've learned that lesson coming to Gateway tonight, because that could be huge in figuring out these point standings.
Well, with there only being 30 trucks on the track, I don't see Jeffrey Vickery out there just yet, but with there being 30 trucks on the track, that will help a little bit. Usually we average between 35 and 40. So as our leader, Michael Madden, already blinking out, that's not a good sign.
No, hopefully that's just something that's going on during when everybody's stacked up with each other under this pace lap. Sometimes that happens, and it clears up once these trucks spread out. Hopefully that's the case for Michael.
All right, the pace car dives off. We're waiting for that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag, and there it is. Here we go. 90 laps to determine who's making it into the championship. Michael Madden exactly where he needs to be, just away from the carnage. Because, again, really, really short track. We have not historically had good luck on these short tracks. Well, I mean, I call it a short track. It's smaller than a normal track. Let's say it that way.
It's a shorter track. It's a mile and a quarter here. 2 very different sides of this racetrack. Very egg-shaped. Reminds you a lot of Darlington. Oh, trouble! Great House, one of the championship contenders.
Oh, and the yellow flag.
Jensen involved.
Just absolute carnage already. And yeah, Great House probably destroyed there, and Jinsig along with him.
2 of the drivers that are still chasing a championship. Heavy damage. Got about 4 or 5 others that are going to be collected in this one. And lap 1, cold tires, tight racing. Looks like it struck here at Gateway as we see coming off of turn 4. I think Kevin Asanio actually got a little bit loose there. And I believe Greathouse was reacting and just got clobbered into the wall.
I think that was Michael Larch involved. Yeah, the 48 Michael Larch.
So you see that little loose moment there, and I believe Greathouse reacting, comes across the nose of Larch, and he's on the brakes there trying to stop and just not able to. And you see Connor Cunningham, you see Kyle Spees in there as well, Doc Holliday involved. A lot of trucks with some pretty heavy damage.
Rough start to this thing as we get one more view at it.
There you see Asanio in the 14, little loose, a little bit of net code bounces him off, and either way, Greathouse trying to react and get away from that, and either he didn't know Larch was there or just didn't have time to pick up that recognition. But either way, our regular season champion looks like his season going to be coming to an end 1 race before Las Vegas.
All right, so already a really, really early caution here, and so that has got to get into the heads of these playoff drivers as far as strategy is concerned, because if you are on that cut line and you see a couple of drivers that are below the cut line go ahead and go out, you really have to consider, do I really want to race for this thing early on? Do I want to try to get out front, or do I hang back and try to avoid everything?
you want to get out front. At a racetrack like this, a start like that, that's got me thinking a lot more about New Hampshire than Motegi for the two clearer examples that we have that are related to this racetrack. I like where Madden, Herman, Williams, Doyle, and Purnell are right now because they're ahead of everything. The odds are most of that trouble is going to be mid-pack and back. Typically how it works out in these races, you got guys making big moves. I'm going to take that track position. Even if an opportunity comes out, say there's a caution in 10, 15 laps, I'm still not coming down pit road and risking those spots because I want to stay out in this kind of a quality position here ahead of that field.
Yeah, 9 drivers had to get into the pits, either for damage or to do a pit stop there. So 9 drivers decided to take pit stops. Wow, already. And three of them still in the pits. Sean Jensig's already left the building.
Yeah, Sean Jensik out. He had a pretty heavy nose impact there. I think he kind of knew what the rest of the night was going to look like there. But we got 1 lap till green, and one thing I'm looking at here, that didn't change up what we're looking at for a clinching scenario for anybody, because the 2 closest to the cut line are Brad Herman and Austin Purnell. They're still sitting there inside that top 6, so still a factor in this thing. So keep in mind, if you're Lane Doyle, 20th to clinch, 15th for Trevor Williams, 12th for Michael Madden, 4th for Blair Holloman, and Ben Park, the only way he can outright clinch tonight is by going out and winning this thing.
Whew. That's no pressure at all at a track like this. I mean, you got to go out there and do something. And of course, Ben Park started in 13th position. So lucky number 13. But how do you work your way through 12 really good contenders to get to the front in order to even give yourself that shot?
It's difficult here. You're almost just waiting on people to make mistakes, and you just got to be comfortable diving in on some people at times and maybe seeing if you can make that outside work. It's going to take something atypical, which is very difficult to do here.
Another Silverback Tax Solutions green flag. If you haven't got your taxes done yet, get that done. Tax deadline coming up really, really fast.
Thanks for that reminder. And meanwhile, Michael Madden reminding everybody what it's like to see that gap from first to second right now, already pulling out to about a 2/3 of a second advantage before he even gets to turn number 3. A tremendous restart for driver 15.
And while that's going on, a cluster behind him, and we'll see if we can even get a lap in here. We did not get one on the first lap, and this time around we will actually get a clean lap in. And now you said you had driven this course a little bit earlier today. What did you find in these trucks?
I tell you, I found a lot of grip actually. I think with the cold tires on that first lap, it's going to take a little bit for the pressures to build up and get a little bit more grip once those tires warm up. But that first lap, second lap, felt a little bit looser. But once you kind of get into the run, it actually felt really good around here. I kind of like this line that Madden's running right now, where he's kind of diamonding those turns a little bit. So he's entering low, drifting up towards the middle, and then coming back down. I think that's going to be the way around here with this setup. And there we go again. He's actually going to enter a little bit higher. He's going to stay a little bit higher. Thought there might have been a little bit of a late apex there, but I kind of like that wider line. These trucks can pull that off a lot better than the Xfinity cars could earlier this season.
And maybe that bodes well for us in this series, because I know that Xfinity race was riddled with cautions.
Absolutely was, and hopefully that does fix a lot of that with more downforce here in these trucks, a little bit heavier of a vehicle, not as much pace and responsiveness to the throttle as well. I think that's going to go a long way. It also might open up some passing opportunities. It is going to be difficult to pass compared to most racetracks, but I do think that you're going to have a little bit more options here because this track, the groove kind of widens out just a little bit more than what we saw earlier this season.
You know, and if these guys can get into a groove and stay under green, this is going to be a very, very quick race. Already 10% of the way through this race, and I mean, it feels like we just started.
Yeah, you're only looking at about 32-second laps, 33-second laps out here. The fall off is going to be pretty heavy, so that might slow down to somewhere in the 35s. But here we go, side-by-side racing. A little bit deeper in the pack as we got the 54 and the 49. So Jason Kratky and Bo Tiffany, they're going 2 completely different routes around 1 and 2.
And a little surprising about that. I mean, typically when you have a flat track like this, don't you only have one line?
It feels that way. I think with the trucks, it does open it up a little bit where you can go a little bit wider, a little bit more towards the middle. I think especially in turns 1 and 2, you kind of want to open that up a bit because of how tight that turning radius is on the inside of turns 1 and 2. I think a lot of guys kind of like that midline just to kind of carry a little bit more speed. The more you turn, the more speed you scrub off of the truck in this instance. So I think that middle line is just trying to keep that turning radius a little bit gentler and carry a little bit more pace through the turn.
Let's go back and check in on our cut line. Ben Park back here in 14th position, so exactly where he restarted at. And so maybe he is just biding his time back there. Not sure if 14th place is going to cut it since Brad Herman is up in second.
Yeah, that is a massive difference right now, and I'm assuming that both of them have avoided contact, and I think the bigger question would be if Ben Park avoided contact in that first caution, that's still a 12-point difference. That would put Herman 4 points to the good. That would even put Austin Purnell ahead of Ben Park right now. Still a lot of racing to go, though. Keep in mind, pit stops, the pit strategy around here, fuel-wise, they can go about 60 laps. So this will be a one-stop race fuel-wise. Tire-wise might be the bigger question. See if anybody maybe takes a gamble at two-stopping to keep those tires fresh.
Pretty sure I just heard somebody hit a wall, but did not see who it was. I heard it, but maybe it was just simply pig taken.
Yeah. Kind of looking around on my second screen, I didn't see anything. Oh, we might see it there. Right side of Jose Castellanos' truck. That thing is all kinds of pancaked on that number 5 truck.
Oh, yes, it is. Look at that.
Now, good news here. Aero not going to be the biggest thing because of how much we're slowing down in these turns.
Oh, there it goes again.
Into the wall. So the aero not going to be a big thing here. He's got to be more worried about the suspension if he has any damage to the wheel there on anything. And high racing spotters will tell you it's very annoying, but it's also good to know. But aero-wise, he'll be fine. It's just going to be the suspension they don't worry about.
He just might not like that paint job. So getting that thing scraped off, but Michael Madden has really broken this thing open. 1.6 seconds already into this thing. We have not seen him budge on the track at all, not even a wiggle.
No, and it does make me question a little bit, if he's going out really aggressive thinking that early caution, maybe it's going to be a lot more like New Hampshire. We're going to see a lot of short spurts of green with a lot of cautions thrown in. You got to be aggressive. You got to get out there. Sometimes that can backfire on you if you get aggressive early on. You start blowing up those tires real quick, and all of a sudden you start falling back towards the pack real quickly.
Closest race on the track right now, Lucas Lyons, side by side here with Ben Park. Ben Park trying to work his way up. We just saw him in 14th position. Now he's up at 11th, so he is making his move here. And this is something that he's really good at. These long runs, he gets better and better.
And watching Park and Michael Larch as well, I know a lot of guys were worried about this racetrack, thinking that this wasn't going to be a track that you can make passes on. They're proving otherwise. You can make passes on this racetrack. Might take a little bit more work than some of these tracks out here, but this one, it is possible, especially with these heavy braking zones. Park and Larch doing a tremendous job of that, and I'm sure that little bit of desperation trying to hold on or move up into that top 5 for the Championship 5 in Las Vegas might be playing a hand there too.
And just taking a look at the team side of things, I'm looking at Phoenix Virtual Racing with Andrew Harris, Jose Castellanos, and Kevin Alsanio in 8th, 9th, and 11th. But then you have JW Racing in 3rd, 5th, and 12th. That's going to be a pretty close matchup still. So we're not going to know who wins that thing until the standings come out.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind for Phoenix, too, they've already got Matthew Greathouse out of the race. He's dropped out after that incident on lap number 1. And they don't have Greg Olenek tonight, who's away with real-life work that he's doing, so he's not there. It is strictly down to Harris, Assanio, and Castellanos now at this point the rest of tonight.
Well, right now they're doing pretty well, all right around that 10th position. They need to move up a little bit more to kind of give themselves a little bit of wiggle room. But right now, Trevor Williams holding the flag for JW Racing up here in third position. And last week we had Trevor Williams Appreciation Night. That was a lot of fun. It's not that night here tonight, but we still do appreciate him.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he appreciates maybe not on Appreciation Night, a little bit stronger of a run here. He's 8th place last week, sitting there 3rd right now. This has been kind of what we've seen over the course of the 5 playoff races before this one. After Texas, a 3rd, a 1st, a 3rd, and an 8th. Just an unreal run these last 4 weeks, and why he's sitting there in a solid position, 22 points to the good coming into tonight's race.
His teammate Lane Doyle in 5th place, just a couple spots behind him. He is the points leader right now, and pretty safe to say that he's in at this point, especially with the carnage that happened on lap 1. He still wants a really good finish here, but I think he's going to be there.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to correct, too, when I mentioned the clinching scenarios, that I looked at the wrong list. That was if Herman or Purnell got the pole. Either one did not. So for Lane Doyle, it would be a 22nd place finish to clinch. There's only 26 drivers on the lead lap right now, still very early. That's setting up to be a very good night here for Lane Doyle, who every time I see this, I'm shocked, but he has not won since Daytona last season. I feel like he's gone out there and won a few times. That's how consistently up front he's been. Been just shy of it a few times. But man, he's kind of threatening to have one of those Matt Crafton kind of years where even with the playoffs, consistency kills, and that's what's working for Lane.
Now, keep in mind also, those clinching scenarios that we're talking about is just to clinch on your own merit. No help at all from the rest of the field. And so that's 22nd place if everything else goes absolutely wrong for him. But there's other drivers out there that are not going to get max points, and so still should be okay, even if it's less than a 22nd finish. But he's not looking for that. He's wanting that podium or even a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And for that to happen, for the worst case scenario, it would be if he finishes, say, 23rd and Brad Herman goes out there, leads the most laps, has a clean race, wins the race. That's what we're talking about at this point. So that's just the easier way to say you don't have to worry about what anybody else does if you finish in that kind of a position.
Back up front, Michael Madden, his lead has shrunk just a hair, but still 1.3 seconds, so he is still sitting pretty as we are inching closer and closer to time to figure out, are they going to turn it into 2 stops or go with the 1-stop strategy?
And I tell you what, looking at this pace, we're already seeing about 1.25 seconds on the fall off here for Michael Madden and much else of the field. Looking at the timing chart here this time by, it looks like Michael Larch actually the fastest out there in 10th. There's going to be an 11th, Andrew Harris now this time by, but that fall off is starting to hit quick. It's about 1/10 of a second a lap. These guys are falling. It might encourage some guys maybe around lap 30 or 35 to say, you know what? We're getting some longer runs. It might be an idea, and I think if one of the leaders does it, I think that's going to bait everybody to come down.
Yeah, so that's the question as we get to lap 30-ish. If you're going to cut this thing into thirds, then that is the ideal time to come in and get some new tires and get that extra speed out there. You're going to give up a little bit of time on pit road, absolutely, but if anything else happens on the track, you may be in prime position.
Yeah, and the one that's in prime position for sure right now, to use that term, is going to be Madden because he's got that gap. Say even if Brad Herman or Trevor Williams comes down this time by, he would have a lap to respond without really having that fall off kind of kill him yet. They would be about level, but you also got to think that first lap on fresh tires, you're still not going to have that pace that you're typically going to have because you're still trying to get the pressures up in the heat in those tires. So it's still not going to be a max speed kind of lap. But right now, he can play defense here as long as he keeps that lead about 1.25 seconds. That's a prime spot for him.
I haven't talked about Blair Holloman. Blair Holloman is only 11 points above the cut line right now, but he is up in 7th place, and so he is in good position to work his way into the championship race as well.
And I tell you what, he's done this quietly in the playoffs. He hasn't had a top 5 in the playoffs, but 4 of those 5 races, he's finished either 7th or 9th. Just unbelievable run right now. He had the 22nd at Kentucky, but other than that, just been absolutely stellar and just doing enough to stay above that cut line every single race.
All right, I'm going to point this out, and it's kind of a throwback to last season. but I'm not. Did Rob Yost even qualify this race?
He did not.
Okay, so last season, Rob Yost did not qualify for a single race, so he could win the Hard Charger Award for the season. And this season, we don't have a Hard Charger Award, and he has been qualifying week after week after week. This week, not qualifying, and right now he's up 11 positions. Maybe he's found something in his racing.
It could be that. Could be that wreck there early as well, a few spots. But I mean, that's a thing. You know, you get comfortable doing something. He's somebody that likes to kind of ease into the races too, and not go, you know, absolutely crazy right out of the gate. And I think that kind of bodes well when you start in the back. You don't have that pressure behind. You don't feel like you're getting kind of dived in on at times, and you're not feeling that kind of that push from behind. So maybe just kind of settling into his race there, but running 19th, kind of holding pretty steady lap times here compared to the lead. Only about a tenth of a lap slower right now, so there's some pace in that 83. He just needs to get that field bunched back up and maybe pick off a few more spots.
Speaking of the lead, it has been narrowed substantially to 0.4 of a second. Brad Herman is on his horse, and he is tracking down Michael Madden.
Remember what I talked about 15 laps ago on aggression and expecting a lot of short runs? That might be happening here for that 15, because we saw him fall back about almost a full second these past 6 or 7 laps. In fact, last time by, it was 0.3 quicker for Brad Herman and Trevor Williams, as they are reeling him in a hurry.
Yeah, and we're going to pull those lap times up right now so you can see exactly what that difference is. Just in the past 4 laps, Herman has just come alive.
And you can look at those lap times. It's not even that it's a heavy fall off. That's a pretty standard one, aside from maybe lap 29. That 0.2 fall off is pretty significant, but there we go with a 6. So that tells me maybe adjusting the line, maybe he just got a little bit loose there for Madden on lap 29. But that just tells me more that Herman isn't falling off as much, and that's tire saving right there. That is something that Brad Herman, I'm not saying Michael Madden's bad at it, but that's something that Brad Herman is one of the best in this series at, is playing the long run.
And it looks like he's got enough speed that once he gets up on that bumper that he'll be able to make some sort of a move. But again, just with that pit window opening up right now, do you make that move or do you stay out? Or, I mean, hey, do you come in right now and possibly try to run this thing dry to the end of lap 90 if this thing stays green?
Man, it's risky. It's so risky. And I think the thing that's really going to drive this, if I'm Madden, Herman, or Williams, I'm not going to be the first one to make that pit stop. Oh, wow, that would look tighter from that angle than it was. As Herman really starting to lunge closer and closer. I'm curious how passing the leader is going to go here with the air difference. But one thing I think is going to alter that pit strategy, look at all the colors on that pylon at the top. 8 drivers left in the running for those playoff spots to advance to Vegas, all of them in the top 10. I don't think I can gamble if I'm near the front to be in the first one down pit road.
It seems like Herman gets right up on the bumper and maybe loses a little bit of grip as he does that, just because of the arrow, and so he is having to back off. And you saw right there, he could have taken a move there, but he decided to back off instead.
Well, it's also a really good defensive line for Madden here. He's kind of easing up, and there's that little peak of daylight. There it is again, maybe. No, he's going to back up the entry here this time for Brad Herman. So I think he's going to try to come down, late apex, get the run off of turn 2, and maybe get the momentum down the backstretch. Still not able to do it just yet.
And while that's going on, Trevor Williams has introduced himself back into the party, and so he is only 0.4, 0.5 behind Brad Herman. And as these two race harder and harder, Williams is just saving his stuff to wait for his turn.
He's really waiting on Herman to kind of open up that inside line, and once he gets the nose there, Williams will just follow him through. Williams with the nose there. He should have him this time if he can hang on to it. Deep dive to the inside there in turn 1. If he can make it stick, he'll be good, but caution out with Herman out front.
And looked like Sean Kozier was involved there. Not sure who else was involved. Let's go to a rec replay and see if we can't figure out what happened.
Well, this might be the earliest case of that changes everything. How we were thinking about the rest of this race going pit-wise, but there we go. We see Kosher.
It's like Doc Holliday.
It's behind. We saw Kosher in the pits.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, let's find out what happened with Sean Kosher. I believe that's the 54 of Jason Kratke.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a nudge or not. Maybe netcode. That was kind of a weird kick on the second impact. But then Holiday with just nowhere to go. No time to react on that one. Yeah, that looks like contact. I'm still, that first angle made me think maybe there's a little bit of a gap there for some netcode. And then just wrong place, wrong time for Holiday. I don't know how much more he could have done on that. I'm going to say that's a 50-50. It still looked like there was a little bit of a gap from that angle.
And now everybody coming down into the pits, led by Brad Herman, who made that pass just in time to take that lead.
Yeah, and in iRacing, there's no scoring loops that we're using on this. It's when the caution comes out, and we did see it pretty clear that Herman did have that nose out in front, but it all goes to waste if he's not the first one off pit road, so we're going to see everybody, I would imagine, taking 4 tires here. I don't see the benefit of 2, and it doesn't look like anybody out of the leaders had any issues getting into their box. And the race off pit road. Oh my, Michael Madden right back out in front.
And he got down pit lane about 0.8 of a second faster than Brad Herman that time around. So Michael Madden looks like the second fastest time down pit lane, right behind Austin Purnell. Austin Purnell with a 46.05, while Michael Madden was 2/10 slower. So Austin Purnell doing what he needs to do as well. He is just outside the cut, 8 points out. And now he is up in 5th place, so definitely on the way.
Yeah, absolutely, and Purnell sitting there in a good spot. And for Michael Madden, I think the difference there, man, it's good to have that first pit stall, isn't it? You can just launch out of that thing and have very little concern about any possible speed limit there on most of these pit roads. Gateway, pretty much one of them. You can just kind of accelerate and punch it. You don't have to worry about much. So that played out well for Purnell. I think that we talk about the little differences, you know, they kind of keep everything within about a quarter second on those pit stops unless you get out of position. If you kind of nail the position, it does reflect that just slightly, where maybe that pit crew doesn't have to move around as much, the virtual pit crew. They kind of get that placement down, and I think that's what happened. Purnell puts that in the perfect spot in the box, just lets that crew get to work faster.
So re-racking right now, Michael Madden up front alongside Brad Herman, and then a couple of JW Racing drivers, Trevor Williams and Lane Doyle in 3rd and 4th, a couple of JBR drivers, Austin Purnell and Landon Cardulo in 5th and 6th.
Yeah, and then in 7th and 8th, a couple of our guys that are trying to hang on to those final 2-point positions in that top 5. Blair Holloman entering this race in 4th, just 11 points to the good. Ben Park in 8th, 8 points to the good, with Andrew Harris and Michael Larch rounding out the top 10 for Larch, 15 points back coming into tonight. He's having a solid night. It's just unfortunate for him that there's 7 playoff drivers ahead of him in the point standings, all having a night where they're ahead of him on the racetrack too.
Well, really, that was a great run by everybody at a track that everybody was scared of coming in, including myself, honestly. But good drive by everybody on that green flag run. But now we've got all the cars, or all the trucks bunched back up together. What do you think is about to happen?
Chaos. I think it's still pretty early, but this is the prime opportunity to be picking up as many spots as you can. You're going to see some more aggressiveness, and typically that does come out around this midway point. People start realizing, especially after a 35-lap run, might not have as much time to make some of these passes as they were intending. So I think we're going to see a lot more aggressiveness on this restart than we did on that first one.
You know, I never even asked you who's your pick tonight, and I'm assuming that you're going to pick, like Sean Jensick or Matthew Greathouse at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to go with anybody that's already out of the race, because if I picked them at the start, they would have been out of the race anyway, so...
Brandon Domain taking the safe way out. All right, Michael Madden going to bring us back to the green flag, brought to you by Silverback Tax Solutions. Once again, if you want that green, go to Silverback Tax Solutions. And green flag is out, and Michael Madden takes off once again, and we'll see if he can do the same thing that he did the last run, which was go out to a big lead and then try to maintain it.
I'm real curious if he takes that same approach this time after seeing how that transpired in the last 15 laps or so of that run before that caution, where he was really giving up a lot of time. Speaking of aggressive, how about that dive there? Austin Purnell, he's going to swing into that 4th position around Lane Doyle. Nearly got to the inside of Trevor Williams into 3 as well. Williams able to block that run, hold on to 3rd for now, but that 36 truck of Purnell is on the move for sure.
Yeah, Michael Madden has already broken out to a half-second lead, and so he is doing exactly what he did on that first run. Brad Herman is just going to maintain that position in 2nd, and he's going to make that truck as wide as possible to not allow Trevor Williams or now Austin Purnell to get up in front of him.
And he's got to worry about Purnell. They came into this tied. Now, keep in mind, Brad Herman did lead a lap during that exchange after he took the lead. He led some of those caution laps before the pit stop, so he does have a bonus point there. That's going to put him 1 point above Purnell right now, assuming they both have a clean race going at 0 incident points, which is another bonus point. But Purnell, he wants to just go out here upright, grab that lead, and maybe win this thing and find his way moving in there on points. It's going to be tough with how everybody else is running, but he's still got very much a shot with the pace he's got in that truck right now.
All the trucks starting to spread out a little bit, which is what you like to see on a track like this. But that top 5, all 5 of them in the playoffs, trying to win their way in. And then back behind them, the next 5, Cardulo, who was a playoff driver, the playoff lucky dog coming into this thing, did not make it into this round of the playoffs, but definitely has the talent to do that. And then Andrew Harris, who's got a few wins here at Speed Racing Network, so he's got the talent as well. Great top 10 we're seeing here.
Yeah, this is absolutely a fantastic top 10, and I even like looking 11th on back, because we're kind of seeing a mix of old guard, some of the younger guys in here that have been having some solid runs this season as well. You're the younger guys to the SRN, you're looking at Asanio, Stahl, Babb. They put together some solid runs. And then that older guard, you got Nixon and Dow in that mix as well. This is a really interesting balance we got going in the top half of the field right now.
Yeah, Danny Dow just got a brand new PC, so he is hoping that he can win a little bit of money here tonight to try to pay for that sucker.
that always helps, though. Hearing some of the, we give out some nice weekly prizes. I don't know if that's really going to cover a lot of that kind of computer, but
no. But still, hey, he enjoys doing it. It's a lot of fun for him. Races in real life with his son, Troy. We miss seeing Troy here at the Speed Racing Network. Just kind of doesn't have time right now with it, with a kid, as well as racing in real life. So good to see Danny still involved with this thing, but maybe we'll see Troy come back and we'll see a little bit of a family feud again.
Always a good time, and just a nice throwback back to the Mid-South Madness days before the rebrand to SRN even, and before I even got here, but I hear great stories. Speaking of stories, we got a good one playing out here, though. 2nd to 4th, tightening up even more, about 0.4 of a second between them. Herman, Purnell, Williams, still 2, 3, 4. That interval just getting tighter and tighter.
Oh, there are definitely stories from Mid-South Madness. I'm not sure any of them are good about racing, but definitely some fun stuff going on with that. And that being said, we continue to march on, and we are looking forward to Season 5 of Speed Racing Network. Should be starting in June at some point. We're going to take a couple months off here and kind of re-rack. But you should definitely be seeing Speed Racing Network again come around June time.
look at the breaking news there. I didn't even know that news was coming tonight, so look at you sliding that in there. It's almost like you kind of run the thing.
Don't tell Jason Tripp that.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I know there's a lot of guys that are going to have some momentum and maybe not make this championship race at Las Vegas. We're down to 5 in Cup already. Going to be down to 5 after tonight's race, 5 more in Xfinity. But the rest of those guys, they got some prize money to look forward to, of course, next week still in some other ways. But then you got that nice shiny opportunity, a new season starting up in a couple months.
No, and I can't wait to see the teams come together for it. It's always interesting to see all the changes. And it's kind of like an NFL offseason where you're looking to see which players go where and who's the free agents and what's going to happen and all that stuff. Same thing here in Speed Racing Network. We have a silly season for sure because we see drivers flip teams all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've moved once in 4 seasons, and I think that's kind of the low number there. There's some guys that have stayed with the same team since they came in. I know that's the case for a lot of the JBR guys, a lot of the JW Racing guys. They've been on pretty much the same team since they came into this. But, I think we've seen some guys that have kind of switched up teams every season, maybe just changing their view on things, changing who they want to practice with, maybe just some better relationships elsewhere. It's just like real life. You see those things happen, and it's just part of the game.
Oh, yeah, it's a blast, and really just love getting to know all these guys out here. It's the funniest thing in the world. My wife and I try to travel as much as we can just to kind of just get out of the area that we're in, even if it's little weekend trips. And it's fun to see exactly which drivers are in the area where we're at for that weekend. And, we take them out to dinner and that sort of thing. It's a lot of fun.
Well, now next time we're around Atlanta, but no, I mean it's awesome. We see so many different things, meetups at different races and everything like that. It's just been a good group, so we're gonna have some openings, that's for sure. It definitely seems like most seasons. So if you're interested, check out SpeedRacingNetwork.com. Of course, have all that information about how to sign up and maybe find yourself on one of these teams if you're not already.
Yeah, we will have more details about Season 5 coming up in the coming weeks, so be on the lookout for that. And if you are not already subscribed to our YouTube channel or anything, it could be one of those deals where we jump on the YouTube channel and make some announcements. Also, our Facebook page, so be sure to subscribe to that as well to get all of the breaking news. Right now, breaking news is Michael Madden, again, out to a 1.3-second lead. Same thing as last run.
But the one thing that has happened, I've noticed Blair Holloman and Michael Larch both falling out of the top 10. I heard a little bit of some tires getting lit up a little bit right at that time. So I think we might have seen something here with 2 of our contenders in that 10 and the 48 as they both drop back a few spots.
And that's going to be nerve-wracking for both of them. Even if it is the strategy, it is not fun to see your name up there back in 13th place, knowing that you need a good race to stay in. You just really, really want to push that truck as hard as you can, but I think this might be a good thing for him if he just backs off for now and saves it for the end of the run.
Yeah, I mean, it's real scary when you hear early on, all right, 3 playoff drivers are knocked out. All right, who is it? The 3 that were in the back. Oh, well, that doesn't change anything. Where's the other 7? They're all up in the top 7 right now. It is a scary sight right now if you're Blair Holloman, and he's one of those guys that can drive back up there. But time running out quickly. We're already down to 36 laps to go here at Gateway. It's not going to last much longer, and we could be good to go the rest of the way if this thing stays green. So I don't think pit strategy is really going to be in play unless we get a caution, and then everybody's going to come in. Time ticking here for some of these guys that need to make a move.
See, I was going to say that. I mean, they definitely have the fuel to make it the rest of the way, but if it's a swing for the fence type of strategy, then get in there, get in the pits, get brand new tires, and maybe, just maybe, there'll be something that happens towards the end of this race that you can get some track position and try to win on older tires.
Yeah, scary thing here, this pit speed is so low, and the length of the pit road here on this long straightaway, you're going to be going at least a lap down, if not about a lap and a half down around this racetrack. It's a dicey situation at this point, and you have very little wiggle room. I'm almost tempted to say, if I'm Blair Holloman right now, I don't make that kind of a call, because I think that if you stay out there, you might wind up just chasing everybody the rest of the race. But when the aggression picks up, keep in mind you got Brad Herman and Austin Purnell in there trying to make some moves happen. Maybe something shakes loose out front and you kind of pick up some spots when other people get in trouble. It's been a rather clean race so far, but I think that aggression is going to be picking up here shortly.
Going back up to the front again, Brad Herman has crawled just closer and closer to Michael Madden, and that lead is down under a second once again. It's down to 0.6 of a second, in fact. So Brad Herman once again reeling in Michael Madden, and it's about the same time that he did the last reel in as well. So really consistent between these two.
Yeah, it's about 20 laps into the run where this really shifts towards that 85, and this time it's a little bit different because it's not just him and one other truck. It's him and 4 other trucks right now that are closing in on Michael Madden. So this might get real interesting here as we come down to about the last third of this race. But now it's not just Herman. You also got Purnell, Doyle, Williams, Cardulo, all within a second of Herman, and who's only about a half second behind Madden.
I heard everything you just said, but I thought the joke from my childhood, and it just came right back to me. What's black and white and red all over? Apparently, all of these trucks out here, look at black, white, red, black, white, red, black, white, red. They're all black, white, red.
Yeah, you had me nervous at the very start of that comment, and then you got to the joke, and I'm like, all right, where am I going to piece this together? And then he said it, and I was like, yeah, there are a lot of similar trucks there.
There are.
The one that stands out, we got some orange back there at least, and we got a little bit of neon green here in the race leader. But yeah, man, similar paint schemes.
Sorry, I mean it's like squirrel. I mean, I just. But this top 6 has broken away from Ben Park here in 7th. So Ben Park about a second and a half behind 6th position. So yeah, it looks like a 6-truck race. For now at least. Still have 30 laps to go, but it is getting more and more distant between those 2 trucks.
Man, real aggressive drive off there from Cardulo. I think he was trying to make up a little bit of time, maybe get some momentum on Trevor Williams to try to make a move for 5th, and I think he got a little too into it and just got a little bit loose off of turn 4 that time, lost some of that gap that he built up. But you mentioned Ben Park back there in 7th. He's actually not the one in the danger zone right now. He's still 5 spots back, so he's only 6 points back from what Herman is doing right now. Again, he's 8 points good coming into this. Blair Holloman's the one I'm worried about right now, though. 11 points ahead of both Herman and Purnell. Herman has that lap led, so make it 10 points ahead of Herman. And with him running in the...
He's in 16th right now, yeah.
I was looking back around 12th, so he's continuing to fall back. That is a very rough position right now for Holloman. He's going to be giving up 15 points alone to Brad Herman.
Yeah, so in theory, he would be 4 points out right now if our math is correct. So definitely Brad Herman needs, or not Brad Herman, Blair Holloman needs to find some spots here. But in front of him, he's got 2 trucks that have both gained 14 positions in this race in Wally Babb and Corey Stahl. And so they're not going to be giving up those positions very easily.
No, and some good news for Blair is he's got a teammate behind him now in Rob Yost. So I think that's going to be something where unless there absolutely is a need, I think Yost maybe stays back behind him and keeps playing a little bit of defense there to protect some of that fallback. But I think right now Holloman going to need a caution, or he's going to need some trouble amongst those leaders. So he's still got 6 of the top 7 are playoff drivers trying to move on.
And, you know, one of those drivers in the top 5, Landon Cardulo, a lot of people would look at it and be like, why are you pushing so hard? You're not even in the playoffs. Well, he is in the second-tier playoffs that we haven't really talked about on the broadcast. So any driver that didn't make it into the playoffs, we have a second-tier competition in these last 7 weeks of the season, just so they still have something to race for. And right now, Greg Olenek is the leader there. However, he missed this race. And so Landon Cardulo is technically the leader. And so he does have something to race for out there, and he's got the talent to do it.
Absolutely, and as somebody that last season and the Xfinity Series, I was lucky to be racing for one of those spots. Speaking of racing, come back to that, but Brad Herman took the lead while we were looking elsewhere there, so he snuck by Michael Madden. Now Lane Doyle trying to do the same thing, following through on the inside line. They're in a drag race down the back straightaway. I can't imagine Madden going to hold him off here through 3 and 4, though. If he gives up that inside line, Doyle will sneak into that inside still. See if he can take this turn a little bit better, and those tires look like they are gone on that 15 truck comparatively.
But how fitting is it that the top 3 in this race are also, 3 of the top racers in this series overall, and so it does not shock anybody for these 3 to be up here and doing this. So Brad Herman doing exactly what he needs to do, just being 8 points outside the cut. But the question is, who is he going to knock out of the cut?
Absolutely, and I think the second question is Austin Purnell going to knock anybody out as well? Because he wasn't far back either, so still side by side. This is a tremendous job from Madden trying to hang on, using the atypical line around there on the high side, and now he's going to give up that position as Doyle clears him. Doyle sitting in a spot where he's pretty good right now. We got 25 trucks still out on the racetrack. As long as he's not one of the 3 worst out of this group, he's going to be moving on regardless. But he wants to go out here and win this thing. It's been a pretty long time since we've seen him in victory lane. It goes all the way back to race number 1 last season. So see if he can get that done. But Brad Herman showing he's got the long run here in this truck.
I've got to bring this up. Out there in YouTube world, Kelly Chamberlain said, hey, come to Northeast PA and we can go to dinner. Kelly, you have no idea how far I would go for a good dinner, my friend. Like, no idea.
That'd be quite the drive, but from where you
there
are.
But airplanes for a reason, Brandon.
Yeah, that's always a thing. And if it's out in PA, you can go out to Philly, go out to Pittsburgh. You got all kinds of things to do out there in Pennsylvania. So
definitely. All right. So Brad Herman still 0.7 of a second ahead. 24 laps to go here in St. Louis. And it's starting to heat up a little bit. Trevor Williams starting to get on the tail here of Landon Cardulo, and so he is going to look to get at least 1 more point to the good. Really, keep in mind, he does not have to be in the cut by a lot. He just has to be inside the cut. Every point does matter, but it does not matter how deep into the... Oh! That was almost really, really bad.
That's a heck of a save from Trevor Williams in that 46. As he's going to kind of ride the high line. Here we go. I was about to bring this up, that there were a couple of trucks that came down last time by. We were thinking about 60 laps. It might be a little bit less than that. Austin Purnell in the grass, that might be huge right now, as fuel strategies seemed like they would be good, but they might have been cutting it a lot closer than we thought.
And the drivers that are pitting right now have had full stops, and so you would think maybe if it was a fuel strategy thing that it would be just a splash and go. Let's see what these two do. While that's going on, Brad Herman, Lane Doyle are 1 and 2. Michael Madden is 3.
And if this thing stays green the rest of the way, everybody comes down, which I think at this point we're expecting. That excursion through the grass might be the difference there for Austin Purnell in moving on or not at the end of this. We'll have to check back in on that, but I can't really talk much about people missing pit entrances. I did that last night at Homestead. Yeah, I understand it all too well. It happens, but that is a awful time for that situation to come up there for Austin Purnell.
Let's take a look and see what exactly happened here with Austin as he tried to dive down onto that entry road and just got up onto the grass just a hair.
Yeah, he tried to maximize the speed as much as he could on that access road and just gave it a little too much juice there. Caught that grass, and man, anybody that hasn't been on that's been on iRacing knows that grass is like ice at any racetrack.
Michael Madden coming down to get his pit stop, and as good as he has been on those brand new tires, this is the best move that he can make, I think.
Yeah, I think this is the right amount of time, too. We saw that fall off really hit around 20 laps into the run between Madden and Herman. And look at that lap count right now. 19 laps to go. Yeah, Williams coming down this time. So that's going to leave Herman, Doyle, and Park. And Blair Holloman's going to be still out there. It looks like, no, he's coming down this time.
So now if you're Brad Herman, Lane Doyle, especially Brad Herman, because he is just below that cut line coming into this thing, do you stay out? Assuming you can make it on fuel, do you stay out?
I come in. If fuel is a question, I come in. And I think he's in a spot right now that he's not going to get the most laps led. That's already going to be squarely in the position of Michael Madden as we see Ben Park come down this time. I think we're seeing more and more that fuel is not going to happen here. They're not going to be able to stretch it the rest of the way. So I come down now. I cut that undercut off as quickly as possible. I think it's already been a little too long on that front. Here we go. Brad Herman coming down pit road. Lane Doyle going to stay out. He'll pick up a lap lead.
I don't really think that Lane Doyle really needs that point all that back. I think he's going to be just fine. But Brad Herman giving up that lead. And then Kevin Asanio back here in third position will take over second place here very shortly, and there he goes.
Now, Michael Larch staying out, this makes all the sense in the world. He needs that home run cut. If I'm him, just stay out until it runs dry at this point. Maybe you catch a caution at the right point between now and when you have to come down, and there's not going to be as many trucks on that lead lap. Maybe catch some people a lap down and make a big gain that way. I think his deck is stacked, though. He's got to go for it at this point, just run it out.
So right now, 4 of the top 5 drivers are JW Racing. Now, they are strategy masters. And so I'm wondering if maybe, just maybe, they were told the entire time, just hang back, just don't go crazy here, and save some fuel.
You know, maybe that's the case for Larch, Tiffany, and Gagliano, but we saw Lane Doyle running with the leaders the whole way. And if Brad Herman and Michael Madden and Austin Purnell and Trevor Williams don't feel that they can make it, especially if Trevor Williams didn't feel he could make it a teammate, I feel like this is just Doyle staying out, knowing that he's pretty well locked in. It's going to take a nightmare scenario in these last 15 laps for him not to be. I think this is him just saying, maybe I'll just come out here, catch something off guard, and go out and win this race. So he's kind of got a little bit less to be running for right now with the way this is shaking out, but it looks like he's coming down this time.
Yep, here he comes. Lane Doyle into pit road, taking that access lane, and he won't get into the grass. So he's going to make it into pit road just fine there, and that should turn the lead over to Kevin Asanio.
Kevin Asanio, man, he's had some good runs. He's had some bad luck at times, and you know, obviously he's part of Phoenix, which I am as well. But I know he's put a lot of time into this, and it's just good to see him out in front. Even during this green flag pit sequencing, he's put together some good runs lately. So good to see him out there, getting that lap lead, getting a bonus point, and getting a little airtime.
Yep, Danny Dow making the pass there, Blair Hoffman making the pass. They are on new tires, so that is not for position. Kevin Asanio still leads the second.
Yeah, he's still got about 0.6 of a second back to Michael Larch, who's right behind him. That is second position now as Lane Doyle coming out of pit road. 14-second stop. He took 4 tires, got a full tank of fuel in there for the final 13 laps, plus any possible green-white checker if necessary at the end of this thing. And at this point, it looks like Asanio, Larch, Tiffany, Gagliano, Techfire, they might all just be saying, let's just go for it and see if we either catch a caution or maybe they might be able to stretch it the rest of the way. We might be looking at something where if it's a lap or two short that these guys are going to be, they might be able to stretch it.
You know, JW Racing playing with house money here, already winning that first race of this team championship series. I mean, they're taking a shot here with Michael Larch and Bo Tiffany and Dean Gagliano. Michael Larch has to take that shot because of the playoff situation. Bo Tiffany and Dean, they really don't have to take this shot, but I think they are definitely under that understanding that it's team first and individual second, and they are sticking together with this team strategy.
And I think, you know, we saw that last night, too, with JW in the third place matchup that I was part of with Phoenix against them. And there were some calls that I think were just made to maximize the point possibilities out there. And especially with that late caution, we saw a lot of guys stay out, a lot of guys come in for 2 tires, a lot of guys come in for 4 tires. But JW had, I believe, 3 drivers stay out for the track position. And it worked in their instance where they wound up getting the win and leveled up that series.
And now Dean Gagliano coming into pit road. So is Troy Techmeyer as well. And so, yeah, everything that I just said about that entire strategy is pretty much out the window, which is why I'm in the booth and not in a truck.
Well, hey, they still got two out there with Larch and Tiffany, so they're still running out there. I think they're just hoping maybe if Kevin Asanio comes in, stay out one lap longer, pick up a lap lead, and get that bonus point as well. Asanio picking up that bonus point for PBR, which might go a long way. They still have Harris sitting in 8th. They have Castellanos a lap down in 21st, though. So this looks like it's going to be a JW lead. And let's see, Asanio slowing down. Here he comes, 14 truck, race leader down on the pit road.
Yeah, that was a bit of a scary moment there as Jose Ruiz cut to the inside while Kevin was trying to get down to the inside to get to his pit lane.
Yeah, as we got Larch really with a strong entrance coming in. He almost went, he's actually going to pass Asanio coming down off that access road towards pit road.
Oh, they're going to touch.
Yeah, that.
Why do you have stairs there? What is going on here?
Well, you got to get over the wall.
That's
somehow.
not dangerous at all.
Some of us aren't nimble enough to get over the wall without the help of stairs. But speaking of getting over the hump here, how about this for the race lead? Landon Cardulo right ahead of Michael Madden by about 1/10 of a second.
But look at that gap between Madden and Williams after that, 2.7 seconds, and only 1 lap fewer tires for Williams there. That's not going to be enough, not 10 laps.
No, and one thing I'm keeping an eye on too, where is Purnell and Herman? They're sitting 4th and 5th. Austin Purnell went through the grass, didn't really hurt him that much here in the end. Still sitting in P number 4. Now, keep in mind, who came down pit road right behind him, though, was Landon Cardulo. So maybe there is that little bit of a, maybe I could have been there moment. But still sitting in a pretty solid spot for Purnell with Park, Doyle, and Holloman all sitting 7th, 8th, and 10th. Now, Doyle going to be good, but Park and Holloman, keep an eye on those two as they're in some pretty dangerous spots, sitting there in tight positions with where this points layout is going.
And Matt definitely wants this win, but he is taking his sweet time right now because he's got 7 laps to go. He's got newer tires. He knows he has the advantage here on Cardulo. He just doesn't have to force it just yet.
And what did we see last season, though? I know y'all brought it up last night because of the drivers involved, but we saw somebody go for the short picture, go for the win last season, and what happened? They didn't make the championship race because of it. If I'm Michael Madden, unless I'm sure I'm going to make that pass, I'm not really going to throw it away. He still needs to sit there 12th or better. Got 22 trucks on that lead lap right now. I'm perfectly content running second in that position.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. And Michael Madden is a very, very, very intelligent driver. What I mean by that is he's got all of those calculations going through his head right now. He has the memory of last season when Ryan Johnson did exactly that. He knows that history, and he knows what would happen if he did that as well. And you just saw it. He just hit the brakes going into that corner because he did not want to force a move.
Yeah, I mean, if it's wide open, if it's there, you got to go for it. But other than that, just got to sit there. Just take the win. Get to Las Vegas and go for the big prize. Don't waste it trying to get the smaller one here. But there we go. A little peek to the outside. Not really going to pull off that run, though, as I thought maybe he would try it. There he goes. He's got the run on the outside, though. He's going to cut down to the inside. This might be that window that was wide open for him to take that shot.
It almost wasn't. Landon kind of came down looking like he might have tried to block there. But it looked like Matt was already down there, and so Matt will take the lead over, and he's going to try everything he can to get just a little bit of distance here on Cardulo so he doesn't run any danger coming to 4 laps to go.
Madden has been one of the quicker drivers on pace when it comes to the first 20 laps on tires. See what Cardulo has. He's given it everything, though. You saw that slide coming out of turn number 2 for that 13 truck, sitting in the 2nd position, still within about 1/8 of a second. He's going to dive down to the inside. Oh, man, if I'm Michael Madden, I'm sitting there just going, oh, please don't do that. I don't want to see that.
While that is going on, Austin Purnell, Andrew Harris, side by side. They've swapped positions back and forth, back and forth. And what's interesting about this, Austin Purnell and Brad Herman tied coming into this race. And now Purnell 1 spot behind Herman. That could be the deciding spot.
And also keep in mind, Brad Herman did lead a lap during this race. Austin Purnell has not led a lap. So there's one extra point. That's 2-point differential, unless we have any incident point differences there as well between Herman and Purnell. So Herman sitting in a golden spot right now and trying to advance. He's got to hope that Parker Holloman fall a couple more spots, though. Everything on the line with 2 to go.
We know 3 drivers that won't be there next week for the championship due to wrecks earlier this race. But, man, we've still got 5 spots wide open. I'm pretty sure Lane Doyle... Pretty sure Lane Doyle... Go ahead.
I was going to say Cardullo got into the wall. I think Trevor Williams caught the wall as well. Not too far behind him as Brad Herman, he takes advantage of that, moves into 3rd. That might be the difference at the end of this.
Michael Madden, Brad Herman, I think if he stays where he's at, he is in. No questions asked. But Michael Madden takes that white flag. 1 lap to go here in St. Louis at the Gateway. Let's see if he can make it all the way around and clinch his ticket. Oh, and we got Ricky back behind.
Herman around! Herman around!
Oh, no.
At the same time, Lane Doyle just passed Ben Park for position, and it might all be for naught.
He has got to get this thing straightened out. He's got to get up across that line.
That thing all
Michael Madden will win the race, but now the question is, where is Brad Herman going to be? Austin Purnell has passed him on the track. Austin Purnell is going to be ahead of Brad Herman. Can Brad Herman hang on for enough points? I'm not sure.
No, it's over at this point for Brad Herman. That is a heartbreaker for driver 85, one of the top drivers all season long, is going to come up short here after contact on the final lap. And yeah, that might be a conversation. There might be a lot of people wanting to be a fly on the wall of later.
I don't want to be in that room.
Nah, well, if you're the fly on the wall, nobody notices you there, but yeah, that's going to be a little uncomfortable, that's for sure.
Well, one person that definitely clinched his ticket, Michael Madden, is in. We know that Trevor Williams is in. Lane Doyle is in. We know those 3 for sure. It looks like Blair Holloman did pass Brad Herman on the track, so he may have kept his spot there, although Ben Park beat out Blair Holloman by 3 spots. So... Yep. That might be a tie there.
I feel like, of course, this is just math off the top of my head. I think the 5 that came in ahead of that cut line are going to be the 5 ahead of that cut line leaving tonight. Austin Purnell, he's going to be close. We'll have to wait on the official count. Of course, there's incident points. Clean racing gets you a bonus point. We got to figure out the lap led during all that green flag pit cycle. But I think Park and Holloman may have done enough.
Now, keep in mind, if there is a tie on the cut line, then all ties on the cut line make it into next week. Whew. That was a really, really interesting finish. But Michael Madden going to bring it home tonight. Let's see if we can't get the results pulled up. Maybe. There it is. Michael Madden from Rat Pack Racing with the win. Trevor Williams. It was not Trevor Williams Appreciation Night tonight, but still a great race for him. Second place for JW Racing. Austin Purnell for Jonathan Byer Racing. Did he do enough? We're not going to know for a little while here. And then Andrew Harris for PVR in 4th, and Lane Doyle for JW Racing in 5th.
In 6th place, it'll be Ben Park. Looks like he may have done just enough to stay inside that top 5 and be on to Vegas. Landon Cardullo will finish in 7th. Danny Dow, quiet night, but finishing in 8th place. Blair Holloman, that's the guy we got our eye on right now, but looks like he may be in as well in 9th, with Nathan Nixon rounding out the top 10.
Jose Ruiz for TJ Team Racing will be 11th. Brad Herman will finish off in 12th, though we're thinking it's not going to be quite enough for him. Lucas Lyons, an independent driver, in 13th. Michael Larch in 14th. Kevin Asanio finishes in 15th.
And looking at those team results, looks like we know who the team champions will be at the end of this one, with 3 JW Racing drivers in the top 14. Wally Babb will finish in 16th. It'll be Rob Yost Jr. in 17th. Jeffrey Vickery will finish in 18th. 19th, go to Corey Stahl, with Jose Castellanos rounding out the top 20. 21st, last on the lead lap, just since that's that note. Jason Kratke will be the final driver on the lead lap.
And so, yes, you're absolutely correct. JW Racing will win the team championship with this race here tonight, which means Phoenix Virtual Racing will be in second. And then in the third, fourth place matchup, Zuyos Racing will win that matchup as well. So our team championship top three have been decided. So congratulations to those teams. Whew. All right, a lot to unpack here tonight. And already people lining up in the admin waiting room, and the top two suspects there that will be in there. So, but for now, let's see if we can't get Austin Purnell and get him up into the booth and find out how his race went. If we can find him, that's up there. He is. Let's see if we can pull him on up here and talk to him about his race. Welcome to the show, Austin.
Hey, how's it going?
Man, it is going good. Tell me about your race here tonight. Great third place finish.
Yeah, it was good. Kind of kicking myself, though. I messed up on that green flag stop. Had Jonathan Bauer, my team owner in my ear, telling me to pit this time. I feel like it was going to work out great for me, and I got in a little too hot trying to get too greedy and got in the grass and slid out, but somehow was able to salvage third. I don't know how, but I don't think it's going to quite be enough by my head math, but, we gave it a good shot.
Yeah, we're kind of doing the same math ourselves, trying to figure out. It looks like it's going to be close, but either way, a solid season here this year for you, no matter what happens in advancing or not. This is your 10th top 10 of the season in the first 19 races. How do you feel about that season overall as we look forward to that final race of the season in Las Vegas, whether you're part of that championship 5 or in that next group of 5 that's racing for some cash as well?
Yeah, I feel really good about it, especially compared to last season. I think my average finish last season was like 23rd. Only had like 2 top 10s, so just big improvement. So thankful, got to thank JB and all the guys for keeping their faith in me and letting me run here.
Oh, man, again, really great race here tonight. Who do you have to thank?
Yeah, I just need to thank Hides Hood Cleaning and Smoky Days Barbecue. I suggest if any of y'all are ever near Roxborough, North Carolina, should definitely get some of the best barbecue you ever eat. But yeah, I need to thank all my teammates, JB, Landon, just everybody on Jonathan Bauer Racing. And yeah, just thank you guys for doing what y'all do. And I look forward. I'll go back and watch the broadcast probably. I like to watch all of them, even the Xfinity and Cups too.
Well, Brandon, we got an invite to Pennsylvania, and now we've got an invite to North Carolina to eat his barbecue, man. This is a good night for us.
As an East Coaster, I really like this right now.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, great job here tonight. We will definitely see you next week, regardless of where you fall on the charts. You'll still have some opportunity to make some money next week. So congratulations on tonight's race, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too. All right. Let's find Trevor Williams and pull him up here. And honestly, it should be, there he is. He's in the broadcast waiting room. He's waiting patiently for us. How nice is that? Trevor Williams, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Man, it is absolutely wonderful. It's not Trevor Williams appreciation night here tonight. However, we still do appreciate a second place finish.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
So tell us about your race here tonight. What was the secret there, especially towards the end?
And honestly, I came into tonight just telling myself I just wanted to race the track. I wanted to qualify up towards the front, race the track. If anybody, was faster than me, let them go. If I was faster than anybody, really wanted to be patient because this is a tough place to race. And then when you get next to each other, there's always a chance that somebody's going to get loose because they're mashing the gas a little too early. And it's just it can be a sketchy little track. Everybody did a really good job, though. Tonight was awesome to only have 2 cautions and to run that many green flag laps. It shows that, we can really put on a good show if we're smart about it.
And we're trying to figure out the final math on a couple of spots, but with your run tonight, obviously you're set for Las Vegas, and obviously you can look forward to that on the individual side, and it's also a shot to be a 2-time champion this season because looking at the results tonight, looks like you and the rest of the JW team going to be walking away with that team championship. So how's that feel to be getting that and also be possibly following it up with a double championship here next week?
That feels really good, and it's actually a really big deal because now we can really just concentrate on winning the race next week. We don't have to, next week if we were running third or fourth at the end and it came down to strategy. If there's a long shot, we could win, but we better stay there and win the team championship. There's so many variables that it's nice to get that out of the way. Next week we can go trophy hunting and hopefully get this thing done.
Well, man, you've got that Las Vegas race, and we're hoping that you get lucky. We'll see what happens there. But who do you have to thank here tonight?
I just want to thank you guys for putting on the show. JW Racing, Justin, I appreciate him letting me race with his name on the side of the car, and all my teammates, Lane, Bo, Larch, Dean. We work really well together, and I've been having a good time. All of our teammates outside of the Truck Series too, we have a chance to win in every division, hopefully, as long as Jacob stays cool tomorrow night. And got to thank my dad. He's always watching. Kelly watching. My wife and kids, they try to watch and fall asleep, but just everybody, man, I have a blast.
Well, attaboy, buddy. Hey, congratulations once again on a second place finish and on punching your ticket into the championship, where you could win $500 next week at Las Vegas, and we hope to see you there.
Thanks, guys. I'll be gambling.
Have a great night.
You too.
And let's see what we can do to get Michael Madden up here with us. And I'm sure he is pumped up right now. Michael Madden, welcome to the booth.
Yeah, wow. What a race, man. What a race.
Man, up and down, up and down. I mean, you got that lead out there, and then they started pulling you back in. Tell us what that was all about.
Dude, you know me. I'm usually the guy that saves my tires, and I was just I was chefing it up tonight, boys, and I just could not figure it out. Once Brad ran me down that first time, I tried to make adjustments, and then the second time it just didn't work, and I just had to pull a different strategy from them. I just didn't have the long run speed like I usually do. It's just a different was a different race for me tonight.
Hey, either way, you start the playoffs with the win at Texas. You close out the second round, the penultimate race of the season with the win here at Gateway. One race left and a shot to be a back-to-back champion. What's that mean going for you next week into Vegas?
I mean, it's been all I've been thinking about, man. I take a lot of pride in being champion of SRN, and I really want to hold my title. I don't really know who I'm facing. I don't try to pay attention during the race of what's going on. I just try to focus on what I'm trying to do. Last week, I felt like I got robbed. I dominated that race, and I didn't even have a chance because of netcode to try to win it. I mean, congrats to Greg. He was fast as well. But, yeah, I came out this week, and I put a lot of practice in, and I will do the same for next week. Preparation is key.
No, man, definitely. And obviously you're always stacking pennies out there, and now it's time for you to collect as we head to Las Vegas. But who do you have to thank here tonight?
Pay windows open, boys. Oh, God, I got so many people to thank. I want to thank my fiance for watching, my grandma, my mom and dad, everybody watch every week, the MM15 crew. Sparkle and Shine, Sean, and all those guys. Sean wrecked out early, and he was in their spot for me, and, he's been doing that a lot lately for his unlucky season that he's been having, but it's been helping me out a lot. And I want to thank Yost and all the guys at Rat Pack. I'm not sure if everybody made it, but I'm hoping we have a full team in there. That'd be awesome.
Man, definitely. Well, we will take a look at those standings, hopefully here just immediately after the broadcast, so be on the lookout for that. But,
pressure's on you, man.
yeah, right, exactly. I got to wait for those standings to be posted. But all right, man. Well, hey, great night tonight. Congratulations on yet another win here in the Speed Racing Network, and we'll see if you can do it one more time as we head to Las Vegas next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too. All right, Brandon. Man, great race out there. We hoped it would be a good race. A lot of people thought that it wouldn't be, but only 2 cautions. We will take that all day long, but we've got one more last chance, and that's in the Xfinity Series. The last chance 160. Here we go.
Man alive, and some thought I might have been a little bit of a dreamer and thinking that this would be a good one tonight, and it absolutely delivered. I think we see the same thing tomorrow. 160 miles, 80 laps around Auto Club Speedway out in Fontana, California. Always a great track for so many of the different series here in SRN, and I think tomorrow's no different. We got a tight race there as well, and can't wait to see who punches that ticket for Las Vegas. Not too far away from Fontana, so it'll be a short drive over there for that championship race after.
Well, we're going to have 5 drivers competing for that championship. The team championship's already handled, but the second tier is still up for grabs. A lot of stuff going on as we head to Las Vegas next week. And the only way to win that $500 is simply this: go faster.